Our time continues on the air on Freedom. Hello, my name is Mikhail Baranov and I'll tell you about the important news at the end of the week. The Russian army does not stop its terrorist attacks. Just in the past week, the invaders have launched more than 3,000 drones and 92 missiles at Ukraine. Russia continues its aerial terror and is intensifying strikes on the energy sector, the president of Ukraine emphasized. Volodymyr Zelensky once again appealed to the international community, calling for tougher sanctions against the Russian Federation.
And the immorality of these crimes is such that everyday Russians kill our people. Moscow allows itself to escalate its strikes and openly takes advantage of the fact that the world is focused on ensuring peace in the Middle East. That is precisely why no weakening of pressure can be allowed. Sanctions, tariffs, joint actions against buyers of Russian oil who are financing this war, all of it must remain on the table. And it is precisely this that can open the path to lasting peace for Europe. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Russia launched nearly 120 drones at Ukraine on Sunday night. About 50 of them were Shahids. In addition, according to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russia did not use the guided Kh-31 air missile. It could not be shot down. However, Ukraine's defense forces neutralized 103 drones. The Russian army continues to attack Ukraine's energy infrastructure. On Sunday night, 3 regions came under attack: Odesa, Donetsk, and Chernihiv. Energy workers are dealing with the aftermath of the attack. Details are in our report.
On the night of October 12th, Russia attacked the Odesa region with strike drones. As a result, the energy infrastructure was damaged. A resort in the Bilhorod-Dnistrovsky district also caught fire. An outbuilding of a private household and the building of one of the district administrations were damaged. A 34-year-old local woman was injured. She was hospitalized. In addition, as a result of the attack, a gas transportation facility in the Podilskyi district of Odesa region was damaged. Due to Russian shelling, Donetsk region was also left without electricity, which led to the cancellation of some train services. Energy workers are working to eliminate the consequences. In Chernihiv region, Russian drones attacked an energy facility. Work continues to eliminate the consequences of enemy shelling of energy facilities. A schedule of rolling blackouts is in effect. And in Kharkiv region, Russian drones struck 2 educational institutions and a private house. 5 people were injured, including a child.
Russia also struck energy facilities in the Kiev region. At one of the substations in the Borispil district, 2 energy workers were injured. The crew came under attack by a Russian drone during repair work, after the air raid alert had already ended. The victims suffered shrapnel wounds. In addition, due to the Russian attack, 3 settlements in the Borispil district are partially without power. It was also an uneasy night in Russia. Authorities in the Bryansk region declared a missile threat. An electrical substation in the village of Vygonekia may have come under attack. Local social media pages are reporting this and posting videos with sounds of explosions and bright flashes. Meanwhile, Tesh partisans carried out a successful sabotage operation on the railway in Russia's Rostov region. As a result, the schedule for trains carrying military equipment and Russian army personnel was disrupted. This railway junction is a key point for transferring ammunition to the southern front. The disruption caused a chain reaction of delays in critically important supplies for Russia's occupation groups. Partisans note that the disruption of transportation schedules will directly affect the intensity of shelling of Ukrainian cities and the combat readiness of Russian military units. The uniqueness of the Ukrainian armed forces' strikes on Russian territory lies not in their increased range, but in their results. This was stated on the Freedom TV channel by Yevhen Daiki, former platoon commander of the Adar Battalion.
Russia has always been confident that it had an unreachable deep rear, and that this unreachable deep rear began right past Moscow. But it turns out that's not the case. At best, now it's beyond the Urals, at best for the Russians, but even then, let's just say, not entirely anymore. But what's more important here, honestly, is that I would first of all pay attention not to the range of the strikes. The range of the strikes, in fact, isn't really news to us anymore, as strange as that may sound. The real news is that these strikes of ours are becoming routine, and that dozens, and in some cases already hundreds, of drones are being used in them.
The Ukrainian Defense Forces carried out a successful counteroffensive operation in the Orikhiv direction. Ukrainian assault troops pushed the occupiers back from 3 settlements in the Zaporizhzhia region. More details about the operation were provided by the head of the Assault Troops Directorate of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Colonel Valentin Manko.
Assault.
Units of the 24th Separate Assault Battalion and the 33rd Separate Assault Regiment liberated the following settlements: Mali Sherbeki, partially, Stepn, and they also advanced in the surrounding areas. We are continuing our operation, and I believe this won't be the last settlement we liberate in this direction. The operation is going successfully, the enemy is suffering losses, and many have been taken prisoner. We have advanced 3.5 kilometers forward, give or take, and expanded the front by about 5 kilometers, and we will keep moving forward.
Ukrainian Defense Forces eliminated 1,240 Russian servicemen just in the past day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, this brings the total losses of the army since the start of the full-scale aggression to over 1,122,000 soldiers. In addition, yesterday a Russian tank, 10 artillery systems, 244 drones, and 87 enemy vehicles were also destroyed. Since the beginning of the day, 203 combat engagements have been recorded on the front line. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian troops repelled the most Russian assaults in the Pokrovsk direction. There, the Russians made 58 unsuccessful attempts to break through the Ukrainian defenses. Another 36 attacks by the invaders were repelled in the Oleksandrivka sector, and 23 in the southern Slobozansky sector. 21 assaults were stopped at the Koshchentinivka bridgehead, 15 at Kupiansk, 14 at Lyman, and 6 each at Orikhiv and Sloviansk. Military experts note that the offensive operation by the Ukrainian armed forces neutralizes all enemy attempts to advance, both in the east and in the south of Ukraine.
For a strategic offensive operation, we must state that the enemy lacks resources, because we have already carried out well-coordinated counterattacks in several directions. Especially in the Pokrovsk direction, which ties down up to 100,000 enemy troops if you count the entire enemy force in the area, preventing them from transferring significant forces and resources to Zaporizhzhia.
Today, Ukraine is celebrating Military Chaplain Day. The main task of these officers is to lift the spirits of servicemen on the battlefield without weapons, to motivate and inspire them. Since 2021, military chaplaincy has been an official profession in Ukraine, and those who provide spiritual support to Ukrainian defenders every day, despite the risks to their lives, are featured in our correspondence report.
Yes.
The guys made this for you too, right?
Yes. One time I went to visit our guys who work with unmanned aerial systems, and each of them gave the chaplain a broken drone. These are especially precious to me.
Drawings from children, school kids, and a touching message from a fellow serviceman for Easter. And they said, "Look, now we'll find a drone for you."
The panic button and the stand for reading the gospel were made by the border guards of the Ponsta Brigade. You don't often see such handmade church items with a military theme, even at the front. For example, the portable chapel that Marion brings to the soldiers at their positions used to be just an ordinary ammunition box.
We saw a similar example in a museum in Chernihiv. And my boss
Was there?
and took a photo, and he came to me and said that we need something like that. I have to say, I'm satisfied.
Marion says that trips to the front to visit the guys are extremely dangerous, but they all need support. The chaplain himself will long remember his 33rd birthday in August this year, when he personally witnessed Russian attack drones striking Kramatorsk.
So I'm just walking along, and I see, maybe about 500 meters away from me, a drone with an explosive charge. Well, that's far enough away and under control, so I can just keep walking. And then I feel it, you know, the sound, like a motorcycle is coming. And I hear these sounds, like a motorcycle, and then an explosion not far from me.
Marion is always searching for the right words to support the guy's fighting spirit.
To keep someone from burning out, I say, whatever you do, do it with love. For example, that's what I recommend to the servicemen. Toward those in front of us, let there be no hatred, and behind us, let there be only love.
The chaplain himself firmly believes in Ukraine's victory. His main wish is for all Ukrainian defenders to return home to their families as soon as possible.
I dream that life will triumph on this land, that Ukraine will be reborn. God Almighty, protect our Ukraine.
Every combat brigade defending Ukrainian land has its own chaplain. They don't wait for parishioners in the church. They go themselves to where their prayers are needed most. Today, more than 300 priests and chaplains of various denominations serve in the ranks of the Ukrainian army. Elena Grimova and Yevgeny Karmazin from Donetsk region, reporting for Freedom TV channel.
Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump had a half-hour phone conversation yesterday. The president of Ukraine informed the head of the White House about the consequences of the latest massive Russian strike and about the situation in the regions. The leaders also discussed the situation in Ukraine's energy system, as well as possibilities for strengthening Ukraine's air defense, particularly regarding the supply of missiles. Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized that Russia alone is the source of military aggression.
Spoke personally with just the president.
With U.S. President Donald Trump, we discussed in detail the energy sector and the possibility of strengthening air defense. I also informed him about the situation in Odesa, other cities, and communities. I am grateful for the willingness to help. President Trump asked about the situation in the capital and in other Ukrainian regions. Unfortunately, Russia is the kind of terrorist that looks for any opportunity to strike harder. We expect that the United States of America and all our other partners will continue to act decisively, applying strong pressure so that our people feel supported. Today, I received the necessary signals that America is considering the possibility of strengthening our cooperation. Thank you.
According to informed sources cited by the publication, McPhear Pass Labs reported on certain moments apologize, statements of interpretation the Ukraine will not have its ability to carry out long-range strikes in the depths of Russia, including Moscow, restricted. A decision has already been made to transfer long-range missiles to Ukraine, but this has not yet been officially announced. The president of Ukraine also reported that next week a Ukrainian delegation led by Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko will travel to the United States. In Washington, they will discuss strengthening Ukraine's air defense, energy issues, sanctions, peace negotiations, and the frozen assets of the Russian Federation.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.